going on, hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub, and this is K-Dub's High Five. 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today we bring in not only a hobby favorite, but a good personal friend of mine. He is at Ian Sports Cards 1 on Twitter, also Ian Sports Cards on YouTube. My good friend Che, how are you, man?
Man, I'm great, Kyle. Thank you so much for having me on here. I love watching the High Five, and it's an honor to be sitting here talking to you. So I'm looking forward to it. So let's do
Hold up.
this.
Now, this is not one of the questions, but is it Che or Shay?
Che, hard CH.
Okay, got it. All right, man.
Yep, you got it right. Yeah.
Got it. All right. All right, man. How it's going to work, Che, is I got 5 hobby-related questions. Well, I'm going to throw them at you one right after another. Ready to take on the high five?
Let's do it.
All right, man. Let's talk about you at Ian Sports Cards 1 on Twitter. How would you kind of describe your kind of role or your place that you feel like you find yourself being in the hobby? Like, how would you define who you are in the hobby?
Yeah. I don't know if I've got a defined role. I mean, I can tell you what I'm not. I'm not an influencer. I'm not an instigator. I'm not an industry insider. I'm not going to have any profound takes on things. I'm just an average Joe, man. I'm a collector. That's what I am. I'm a collector.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I guess my role would be to spread positivity when I see it. It's so easy to spread the negative and be angry all the time. And just to highlight the positive and accentuate the positive. That's number one. And two, I don't want to sound self-absorbed or self-important, but when I say be an example to that average Joe collector like I used to be, who maybe I kind of consider myself an introvert, but I guess I'm not that introverted. But there are a lot of guys out there who are introverted, and the hobby can be an intimidating place on Twitter. So for those guys who aren't buying flawless and transcendent and prism first off the line, but love their cards, but are afraid I can't share this card. Nobody will like that. It's not a one of one. It's not a rainbow color parallel to 10 PSA 10. So I just think I can be an example by like saying, you know what? Here's a 1976 Oscar Gamble and I love it. And or here's a 2018 Jackie Robinson, my tagline, here's a picture of a baseball card I like, and I just say that all the time. And it could be, I don't even have to collect a person. I did a Brandon Nimmo not long ago, a 2018 Stadium Club Brandon Nimmo. I'm not a Mets fan. I'm not a Brandon Nimmo fan, but I was flipping through that pack and I was like, gosh, that card is worth. That's an awesome card.
Sure.
So I said, here's a picture of a baseball card I like. I had like 125 likes, all kinds of retweets. So I just want to show it's okay, to share. If you like the card, share it. There's a lot of people out there who will like it and who will appreciate it. And so just to, be maybe the voice of an average Joe who doesn't think that he has a voice in the hobby.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And one thing that I always appreciate about you is your perspective on cards is different from, as you said, the influencers, if you will, where a lot of that drive of the card is the dollar sign behind it.
Mhm.
And for you, it's always about, one thing I appreciate about you got a good photographic eye, and I know that you do photography on the side, but you love a good picture on a card. And so when you share a card, it's far more than just, hey, look how much I can get for this card. It's, hey, look at the time someone took to create this card, or the image, the photography work on this card. So keep it up, man. I love it. And I think you're right, man. You speak to the masses of us, which are those average Joe collectors, if you will. So yeah. I love it, man. I love it. All right, well, let's get into your collecting for yourself. When you think about kind of your personal hobby journey, as you look at over the years of collecting, who would you say have kind of been those kind of influences for you as far as taking your steps in your hobby journey?
God, I first started collecting, I was 7, 1981. My most popular tweet ever is I drove by, there's a little corner store in Danville, Kentucky, where I grew up. It's called Vaught's Grocery. It's long since closed, but it's still there, kind of boarded up. The quintessential corner store in the middle of a neighborhood. And I just kind of tweeted one day, in 1981, a 7-year-old me walked into this store. I'd taken a picture of it and bought a pack of Big League Chew and a pack of Tops, and a lifelong love of the hobby was born, and that tweet just took off. I mean, it's by far my most popular tweet ever. But I had an older cousin at the time who was like 4 years older than me who collected. And so he started me on that. But then I was the oldest child of a single mom. So my dad, he wasn't really a collector. So I didn't have any really influences as a child other than classmates and schoolmates. The hobby's always about community and social aspect, and you take your cards to school and you trade cards and stuff like that. So never really had outside influences per se until recently. I got back into the hobby because of my brother, who I'd gotten into the hobby originally. He's 4 years younger than me,
Yeah.
right? And I got married, I had kids, I had a busy job, I had a busy life, and I had a photography business on the side. And so I stopped collecting for years,
Hmm.
but he never stopped. He never stopped. Um, and then it was before COVID, it was summer of 2019, I guess.
Okay.
Um, he and I drifted apart. Another show. We had drifted apart, but we kind of reconnected, and I found out that he had never stopped buying cards.
Wow.
And so we sat down one night and we're sorting through his cards, and he's always been the type that he loves opening cards, but he's not a huge sports fan.
Okay.
So he loves the Reds and the Bengals, but outside the Reds and the Bengals, he doesn't know a lot of these players.
Yeah.
So I was kind of showing him, I still followed sports even though I wasn't a collector. So I was like, that's it. That's got to be a good card. That's got to be a good card. And just the fun of it
Yeah.
was just, yeah, it just took me right back. It took me right back to where I was before I left. And I was like, man, I have missed this.
Yeah.
But then since I found Hobby Twitter, which was about 6, 7 months after that, man, I met two dudes that have become really good friends in real life, and that both of them they don't know how much they've influenced me. And that's Jimmy at Kentucky Cards. And then yeah, you got the shirt on, I got the hat on.
Yes,
Jimmy
man.
is, you said it the other day on Twitter, he might be one of the best human beings on the face of the planet. And that is true. I mean, he's got a heart for giving. He's got a top 1% PC in the world. You never know. But I mean,
You never know
he
what's going to
owns
come up next.
you never know it, right? He owns now a chain of very wildly successful card shops. But you go in there and it's not transactional. It's about the community. It's about the giving. It's about, he just does it right. And I'll never have the PC he has, and I'll never have the business success in the card industry that he has. But if I can just model the way I treat people
Yep.
in this hobby, the way Jimmy treats people in this hobby, then I'm winning. And my second major influence has been Eric Hecker. His rack of the day. Um, I was fortunate enough to have him kind of involve me in it and be a part of it, and just the joy of giving. I had done racks here and there, but through the rack of the day, I got to know Eric and to see the way. And again, I'm going to kind of go back to the way Jimmy is. Eric's job is about giving to others. That's what he does for a living in his Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. This rack of the day, what he puts into that is just a true labor of love. Yeah. He's an awesome father, and just again, the way he collects cards to make others happy is just it's definitely been a model for me. So those two men have definitely been my biggest influence since joining the hobby community on Twitter, for sure.
Yeah, well, you are mentioning two absolute pillars of the hobby Twitter community and the hobby as a whole. And if anyone's watching this and you're wondering who's this guy at Kentucky Cards, Jimmy, or at ES Hecker, Eric Hecker, they've both been guests on the High Five. I encourage you guys, scroll back, check them out. They're dudes who literally have hearts of gold. I mean, they literally have hearts of gold. Some of the best dudes Eric I've never met, but Jimmy I have met. And I know when I meet Eric, it's going to be the exact same. They're exactly the same person that you expect them to be. So
I got Eric and Jimmy together at the National. So that was like,
Explosion of rack. Explosion of rack.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I love it. All right, man. Third question for you.
Sure.
What is the Grail card for you, my friend, and why?
Okay. So we have to define Grail, right? Because I think a lot of us overuse the term. Like that 1967 Rod Carew behind me was my Grail. But it was attainable. Obviously, it was attainable because I've got it, And now I would say a 53 Satchel Paige. Okay. But I'm going to get that this year, guaranteed. I will end up picking that card up. So is it really a Grail? So when I think about the Grail, the lifelong chase, the unattainable,
Let's do it.
still searching for it. It would be a 2006 Top Sterling Josh Gibson Bat Barrel 1 of 1. If you've never seen this card,
Never have.
there are two known Josh Gibson's bats in existence in 2006. Topps got one of them and used it to make the cards.
Okay.
So the 1 of 1 relic is a landscape orientation, and it has the nameplate section of the bat that literally just says Josh Gibson.
Wow.
Josh Gibson is one of my favorites of all time. Obviously, never saw him play. Negro League hero, died of a stroke way too young. Just one of the greatest players of all time by all accounts. So always been one of my favorites. So if I could have any card, I would trade every card that I've got in my collection, plus whatever money I could come up with, extra money that I had. 2006 Top Sterling, Josh Gibson, Bat Barrel 1 of 1. That's my grail.
All right, man. All right, and the grail has been defined. The high five grail has been defined by you, my friend. So, I love it. I don't know it. I want to see it. So if you think about it later, snap a picture of the screenshot or something if it's out there, and I would love to see that card. So,
absolutely.
Love it. What do you guys think? In the comments below, what is your definition of a grail? Is a grail a card that you just always want, that you know you're going to get? Or is a grail the unattainable, never going to happen, you'll die chasing that card? I want to know. Yeah. Drop it in the comments. So, all right. Fourth question for you on the list of 5 here. Let's talk about products. If you had all the money in the world, you can rip any box of cards that you want. Only one box. What box are you picking to rip and why?
I think this is almost grail level 2, but not because of the money, but because I don't know if one exists. But if one existed, it would be a box of 1954 Topps. Okay. Now, that might change. 3 months ago, it would have been a different answer. 4 months from now, it might be a different answer. But I'm currently obsessed with the 1950s cards, and specifically the 54 cards. Okay. But just the colors on those cards are so vibrant. You've got that Henry Aaron. You've got the Jackie, that white Ernie Banks rookie with that Cubs. The difference in the colors of those cards. And I can't imagine. I love the character of vintage and the stories behind what's this card been through, and this one's got tape on it. Was it in GI's Foot Locker, as Jimmy Bible was saying the other day? But to imagine pack fresh, that vibrant pop of those colors, those corners, and just the anticipation of, is that Henry Aaron next? Is that Ernie Banks going to come up next? 2 of my top 5 all-time cards are in that set, and so just to be able to open those would be an unbelievable experience. So it'd be 1954 Topps, man.
You know what I'm getting right now as you're talking about it is the smell. Like, I know the pack but just that smell, like what smell would it go through your nostrils when you open a pack that's 50 plus years old? So all right, man. All right, final question for you, and you kind of mentioned it already. You have a hashtag on Twitter, WhyICollect, which I love because it's just you telling stories of why you collect cards. Or the other day you made a comment about Scotch tape, and Scotch tape isn't always a bad thing because there's a story behind some of these cards that have Scotch tape marks on them. So my question for you, Che, as we finish, why do you collect cards in 2023 as the adult male that you are? Why do you collect?
All right. Hobbies is a hobby, right? Collecting cards is a hobby. Hobbies are supposed to be fun. So why I collect is it's organic. It changes. It's different now than it was when I first met you, and it's going to be different later. And I kind of alluded to that a minute ago. But at its core, it's just always going to be founded upon that feeling of nostalgia, that you get from the cards. And I mentioned it earlier too, that sense of community. The sense of community when you're a kid and you're sitting together in the yard and you're trading the cards, and you're in somebody's room, and I'll trade you this Mark McGuire for that Jose Canseco, all the way up to now to this Twitter community that we've got. Why I collect cards and why I collect is what I talked about in the first answer. It changes, but it's just flipping through there and seeing that Brandon Nimmo, who I don't really collect, but thinking, wow, I love that card. Sure. I just love that card. So I guess why I collect is seeing cards I love, and that changes, right? So there could be times when I love opening Ultra Modern Stadium Club, but right now I've kind of moved away from that. Um, Print runs, odds, pack odds, not getting not seeing a lot of the players I want to see in there. I decided, hey, that same money that could go on a Panini blaster could get me 5 of these vintage cards that I like. So that's been my motto. I got 2 Larry Dobies, a Mudcat Grant, which is an awesome card. I love this Mudcat Grant card, um, and a Bob Euchre the other day for less than a blaster. And I was like, I love this. I love it. And it wasn't that way 3 months ago, and it probably won't be that way 6 months from now. So why I collect is organic, it changes, but it always goes back to that sense of nostalgia and just that sense of community. And hey, I love this card. I hope you do too. Let me share it with you.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I think the beautiful thing about this hobby is, as we always say, it's far more than cards. And
Yep, people over cards.
More than cards, yeah. People over cards.
Yep.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there, man. That the hobby is the community. The hobby is the people. Yes, we collect sports cards. Yes, sometimes we sell these cards and make money off them, but the majority of the hobby is still the community and the people within it. So,
yep,
I love it, man. All right, dude. Hey, we cleared the list. That's all we got. We got a high five. Throw it up. High five. Boom. Yep. Check out Che on Twitter at Ian Sports Cards 1. Hashtag WhyICollect is something that's really, really worth checking out. Also, please subscribe to the channel, Dizzy Dub 1, and follow me on Twitter at Mr. K-Dub. Shout out to the High Five endorsers, which Che already mentioned one of them, Eric Hecker, Rack of the Day, also Buck City Breaks. Please remember, be the good, Che, man. Continue to be you, man. Continue to look out for the average Joe, man. The hobby needs a lot of people like you in it, man. So I very much appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship that we've kindled and grown over the past 4 or 5 years, and I look forward to many more card stories with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. I can't wait to add you to the list of people that I've met in person, and so hopefully we'll get together one day soon. So
it's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen. Right. So we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for checking out the High Five.